Well, now I'm the last talk. This deck previously presented on DEF CON, but it was an hour, including demos, and it was pretty long presentation. And this time I call this deck a sprint to protect point of sales because it's really a sprint for 15 minutes. Our biggest challenge in this presentation is to finish 43 slides in 15 minutes. It's not security at all. Okay, so I'll do a short introduction about myself because that's the time I have. I try to do it in 1 minute. Again, that's the challenge. And then we'll discuss about more, let's say, technical details. So as for the introduction, let's say that's what I say to people, that's what I do. Actually, I'm working as an architect in NCR. I'm solving a lot of problems. Well, obviously, the retail industry is not that mature in terms of security, so therefore I'm there solving, obviously, the problems that we have in this company. So I had a few researchers about a few topics. One of them is this one, and I have a few open source tools. One of them presented today. So I want just to share with you something that I passed in the last 2 years. I'm actually researching, not technically, but researching a way to protect against point-of-sale attacks. But this specific talk can be taken to other defense approaches, such as embedded devices. So that's a journey. I can just shorten it in some way. So before we just understand how to protect them, I just want to explain you why are they so targeted. These are point of sale. So first of them, I was surfing on the dark net, and I was looking for prices for credit card numbers. And I saw that if you want to sell credit card numbers, well, it will cost you a certain price, but not too high price. On the other hand, if you will be able to buy full dumps of credit cards, it will cost you more, because on full dumps you can get much more information, while on the other hand, not all the times websites, for instance, they store all the information about the users. So I'll just compare the reason for attacking point of sales. Let's say that we have e-commerce. So if we buy on e-commerce, we just put our personal account number. Sometimes there is no validation about your name, last name, so it may be not included there. And you have your CVV, which is also not stored there. So on point of sale, you have the full dump, and therefore you can steal it. On the other hand, you also have debit cards, and you can just create new cards by having full dumps. So in order to explain how to protect point of sale, it's important to explain the assumptions that retailers have before. So the first assumption is that point of sales are PCI compliant. Well, that's fine. PCI, like many other certifications, are only a baseline. They're not security at all. By the way, it's marketing, it's legal. There's a lot of things, but it's more things than security. Another assumption is that, well, it runs on an embedded point of sale or embedded Windows. Obviously, embedded Windows is more secure because it has less services, smaller attack surface. Yes, but even Windows, or let's say Linux, but I'm speaking about Windows now, when Microsoft released their operating system, it's not hardened. That's the reason why you have hardening guides. If you try to apply the whole hardening guide that you have, at least that Microsoft recommend, the operating system will work, but your application, well, that's a question. So another thing is that point of sales are patched. Yeah, you have Patch Tuesday. You can update the operating system. That's great, except if we're talking about zero-day attacks. And most of the attacks on embedded devices are unknown. So another pretty nice assumption on retail environments is they're not vulnerable to Heartbleed. The reason for that is because in most cases they don't even have SSL. So that's not vulnerable at all. Another assumption is the fact that point of sales are not connected to the internet. Well, at least if they're not connected directly to the internet, they may have some hopes, but they are connected to the internet. And also, that's a pretty odd assumption. Cashier is not a hacker. Well, I have a news. Cashier, he is a hacker. I also saw a publication that Cashier publishes something, publishes kind of a, let's call it a service, that he allows VNC connection inside the retailers. So Cashier, he's definitely a hacker. So there are a few Achilles tendons when speaking about IT security in retail environment, and especially when we have embedded devices inside. So the first Achilles tendon is actually rats. Well, I'm speaking about remote administration tools, such as Antimalware, VNC, etc. Because when you have them, let's look at most of the breaches that happened till now on retailers. It happened through third-party companies or through third-party products. So you can exploit third-party tools. You don't need to exploit the operating system. It's easier to find and metasploit payload for known things. Another thing that we should remember is that no one really tests how can we route the traffic, let's say from the user's network to the retail network. And that's a problem, because if you have access from, let's say, a third-party vendor network to your retail network, it may be a problem. By the way, it was a problem. I don't want to mention again the company, but let's assume that this company is very targeted. So, and the next thing is actually a problem that it's a permission problem. Not many retailers know how to harden the operating system. Yeah, that's a challenge, because in most cases, point of sale are actually running with admin. And not only point of sale, there are also embedded devices. So when you run as admin, you don't need to do anything. You just go into the operating system and nothing's protected in terms of software, and that's a problem. So I just want to shortly explain about what happened in most of the retailers, if you heard about few breaches that happened in last year. The major thing that happened when well, that's an exploit, kind of an exploit that ran on retailers, is an attack that's called memory scraping. Let me just simplify that. You have a process, and you have another process. The another process, his name or his functionality is memory scraping, and this process can read the memory of other process. Sometimes it's even in the same process. And well, if you have a memory scraper, the only thing that you need to look for is kind of a regular expression of credit card numbers. Well, that's simple. Everyone can read from the memory, especially if this is admin. So that's a problem that works. I won't present the demo here, but if you want it, anyway, you won't get it. I'm with the Mac here, without the Windows. So I was looking for a solution to protect point of sales, because, well, NCR is not a security vendor, but we need somehow to protect point of sale, or at least recommend to our customers how to do that. So let me just review through a few approaches that are not exactly correct. The first approach is, well, firewall. Even if you have the next generation firewall, it won't stop any attack. Even if it's smart and it knows how to find regular expressions, no, it doesn't work. That's the basic, not the application security protection that's needed. Another thing is anti-asterisk, anti-malware, antivirus, anti-whatever you want. It just doesn't work. These malwares doing something legitimate. Even Internet Explorer reads the memory of Microsoft Word. So this is a legitimate action. The problem is the exfiltration of the data. And antivirus is not that smart, or endpoint protection at least. This is something that I heard from one of the customers. We have a DLP. That's great, but hackers encrypt their data. So if hackers encrypt the data, how your DLP will see that? Probably he won't. And this is the common approach on retailers, and not only on retailers, it's something that's pretty common on even industry companies and let's say companies that they have a lot of controllers. They have whitelisting products. And when you have a whitelisting product, you definitely whitelist the applications that can run. On the other hand, sometimes you have frameworks. Let's say you have Java. If you have Java, well, jar file is not an exe file. So now you can write a jar file for yourself and bypass this product. Sometimes, well, these are legacy products, so you have kind of legacy integration points, such as FTP. So if you have kind of a file synchronization, that's the right folder to run files from that, because probably it's not whitelisted. So that's a problem, and obviously you can make it a little bit more secure by, well, you can, first of all, most of these products run with a pretty fast algorithm with MD5. Although MD5 is vulnerable to collision attack, so even if you have pretty good protection, you'll still be able in, let's say, 9 hours to create another file, malicious file, with the same signature. On the other hand, if you go to, let's say, more advanced algorithms, probably, let's say that when you'll be in a cash register, you'll scan an item, you'll wait 5 seconds, and then you'll hear the beep. No one wants that. So I just want to tell you what are the correct solutions, or at least the correct solutions that I believe that can protect embedded devices and point of sale especially. So the first of them is cyber intelligence. Well, that's not a product, that's a service. But let's say that this company that was targeted, although the attack published on January, the cyber intelligence company that I was working with, they found that cyber criminals are looking to create such malware for this specific company 8 months before it happened. So that's good if you have the cyber intelligence. Another thing is network-based anomaly detection. When you have the network-based anomaly detection, it doesn't mean that you need to check all the traffic. It doesn't mean that you need to be in a mirror somewhere. It just means then you need to get something from an agent that installed on the computers. And whatever you need to get is profiling. So if you, let's say, if you have embedded devices, probably they have a specific profile. You can profile all of your embedded devices. It's limited number. And if you profile that, you'll be able to see the anomaly pretty easily. Because if it tries to exfiltrate data, you'll automatically see that. And the completing approach here is to do anomaly detection on the operating system. This is a little bit more advanced technique that injects, let's say, a lot of drivers to the operating system, and it have a lot of traps for the malware. And it's pretty good. It really catches the exfiltration, not the memory scraping itself. But important to mention that when we secure point of sales, it's not only about products. Well, you're CISOs, so you understand that you need to add a few more controls except installing products. So the first of them, obviously, is hardening of the operating system. The next one is assembly signing. Well, if you sign the software that runs on top of the operating system, it's hard to inject software inside of it. Technically, it's really hard problem. So if you sign, let's say that you're pretty safe, not 100%, but pretty good. Another thing is, well, it's an obfuscation of the product, because in most cases, point of sales and a lot of embedded devices have all of the logic inside of it. So if you have all the logic inside the point of sale, you don't want the hacker to be able understanding how the payments work. Because if he'll understand how payments work, he will try to replicate that, do reverse engineering. You don't want that. And therefore, you should obfuscate the software. And kind of a pretty nice solution that I thought about, and I did a small POC, is process isolation. If you have, let's say, 2 weak users on the operating system, if you're running 2 processes by these 2 distinct users, each one of them can't read the memory of the other one, obviously if it's not an admin user. And therefore, if you're able just to impersonate a process by the user that logged in, so you have a GUI user, an application user, that's probably the solution, or well, at least the fast solution to protect against these attacks. So I just want to summarize what we've discussed here. So there is a lot of security with rogue security on retailers. They, in most cases, think that hackers don't really know how to hack their network. Well, now they know. Next thing is that you must understand that the exploitation is simple, because the exploitation is legitimate. You should be able reading the memory of other process. And obviously, it's pretty hard to protect. It took me only 2 years to understand the approach. So now we're probably need to find a way to integrate these products for our customers. And believe me, it's a challenge. If you have any questions.